Okay, we're live. Hi, I'm Dr. Goel from Peak Human Labs, and I'm so excited you're joining us for our first ever real podcast show. And I have here with me Carmelia Ray, celebrity matchmaker. You can do the rest of the intro.
Yeah, thank you. I've been a matchmaker for 26 years, and I work with single men and women all over the world to have loving relationships. And I'm so excited to be here because at the core of any relationship is your love of self, right? So I decided to go on a peak journey after meeting Dr. Goel and his mission of being peak. Maybe you can share with me about what it means for you to be peak. Yeah. And I'm on this journey right now.
Awesome. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're trying to do at Peak Human Labs is that, I'm very passionate about helping people who want to help themselves get to whatever the best they could possibly be. And that's what being peak is. And whether it be, getting to your best physical condition, your best mental condition, or even spiritual condition, we want to bring the best out of, integrative medicine and functional medicine and tie that with all the latest in biohacking and make that available for people. And I think that's what Peak Human Labs is about. And Carmelia, I'm hoping, is going to share with us why she's doing it.
Okay.
And what's it like. And I'm hoping that we'll have people on the Facebook Live event going to be asking us questions. And we're going to be giving away some stuff on the show. And all the information for that is on the in the group.
In the group.
Yeah.
Thank you. So for me, just for those who are not related to me as a dating coach and a matchmaker, I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a busy mom of 3. I had my youngest child, and just to give you a range, my eldest daughter is 20, my son's 14, and my youngest child is 2, and I had her at 44. So previous to having my daughter, I felt like I was in decent shape, but I have to say that in the past 2 years, I really struggled with the work-life balance and making my health a priority. And I came to a point where I'm like, okay, I need something a little bit more supervised, and I'm open to trying anything. So when we had met through a common friend, I shared with you that I wanted to not just lose some weight, because that's a lot of people want to lose weight, right? I want to change an entire lifestyle, but I also understand my body. I think at my age, I'm going to reveal my age now, okay?
Yeah, brace for this. You won't believe.
I am turning 47 this March. So I'm currently 46, turning 47, and I have a toddler. I have a 2-year-old and a 20-year-old. So I really wanted to really understand my body as I'm going through, I don't know, maybe I'm going through some hormonal changes. I realized with really high stress and high demands of work and business that I need some stress relief. I need, to figure out how to handle the changes my body's going through. I'm not a 20-year-old woman anymore, right? So could I be menopausal? Is that a possibility?
Well, I think what happens is that, as around 40, men and women start to go through a hormonal change. And for menopause is when periods actually stop. Like about 5-6 years before that, women already begin that transition. So you may be likely in that transition period, and that makes, maintaining your weight and your muscle mass even harder.
Yeah, I know that I have to be really careful about what I eat now, because I used to be able to eat anything and not gain weight. That is not the case anymore. I find that the side effect or after effect of myself eating rich foods or drinking alcohol, because I'm in a very social business, that I actually feel the after effects. Like I feel bloated, I feel tired, and mentally I don't feel good, because I'm like, why did I do that? So one of the first things we started was this hormonal test, yes? Or this is genetics or hormones?
This is hormones.
Okay.
This is called the Dutch cycle mapping test, and it's really cool. I think one of the best companies that's doing this work. And it involves, do you want to describe how you do the test, and I'll explain it.
So in here, I have literally urinated. I'm not going to open on it, okay? My pee is in here, okay? I've urinated on almost 21 sheets of paper. You actually have to wait until your day 1 cycle, the last day where you do 4 4 urine samples. So I did a urine sample at 8:30. 2 hours later, I did a urine sample at 10:30. And I'm going to do 2 more on the last day, cycle 1. But throughout the 21-day period, I had to test my urine at different times of the day. Each piece of paper has information like my name, the date that I took the collection, the time I took the collection, and the day of the cycle that I'm in as it relates to my menstrual cycle. Okay, so I don't know what this is going to tell me. It was pretty simple to do. I have to say, when I went to Miami, I had to travel with this. Wasn't always easy to remember the times, but I did do that pretty diligently. And it says if you miss a day, you just continue as per usual, which I did. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 more tests, pieces of paper to urinate on. You collect a urine sample, right? It's pretty simple. And then I'm going to give it to Dr. Goel. And what's it going to tell me?
Okay, yeah. So let me tell you that, why we're doing this such a lengthy test. And so a woman's hormones, when they're still having periods and you're still having your cycle.
I'm still having a cycle.
So that there's a huge variation in estrogen, progesterone throughout the month. So if we just took a snapshot of your estrogen or progesterone on any particular day of the month, it wouldn't really tell us what's happening over the whole cycle. And so that's why it's important for us to do this, what we call a cycle mapping test. So what we're going to get is a graph that's going to show how the estrogen is rising in the first part of your cycle, and then you have an ovulation where the egg gets released, and then the progesterone starts to rise. And that's, the imbalance and balance between those 2 hormones is really what, determines how you feel. And
so you as a medical doctor will look at, like, this is obviously specific to me.
That's right.
My cycle, my estrogen. What you're going to read and translate to me as, a normal human being, like, I don't know what any of this means. Mm-hmm. How is this going to benefit me? What am I going to learn as a result?
Well, I think what we're going to see is that how are the 2 hormones interacting over that month? And you may have, too much estrogen or too little estrogen, or too much progesterone or too little progesterone. And then they do test some other hormones such as DHEA and testosterone, and how they're playing throughout the month, because it's a combination of those 4 hormones that determines how you feel and how you're doing. So we'll be able to determine how best to supplement you, not just taking, progesterone cream. For not everyone does that work out perfectly.
Okay.
You may have enough progesterone but not enough estrogen. It's very possible.
Or what gives you the grumpy hormone? Like, what is that? When I'm like just not feeling great, or I'm about, leading up to my cycle in particular, I would say to my MD, like, I complain about mood. I complain about sleep deprivation. I get, like, my husband says, I'm out of here. Like, if I could leave a week before your period, that would be amazing, because I find myself being quite irritable and moody. I do get that way. So what is that?
Well, it's a little bit complex, but we think that's related to progesterone, because it's in the last half of that cycle is when progesterone is usually peaking. But as you get older, that progesterone doesn't always do that. Like, It doesn't always come up the way it should have. So sometimes that's why people are giving progesterone cream in the last part of the cycle, and it helps people's mood.
And again, I may not need progesterone. I might just have too much estrogen. Is there something
possible
that counterbalances that too?
Yeah, exactly. Like, sometimes, we just give we give estrogen, and that helps to, instead of removing progesterone, which we can't, we just make the other one stronger. So that kind of helps.
How much of an impact do my hormones have towards my achieving fat loss and, like, gaining weight? Like, how much is this related, or my hormones related to the fact that I might struggle with losing weight at this stage and age?
Well, that's so the estrogen, which it comes from testosterone. So these hormones all interplay with each other, and if there's any type of deficiency in estrogen, likely you may be having even testosterone deficiency. And that's what starts to change. Testosterone gives you your libido, gives you your muscle mass. It makes
some people would argue I have testosterone surplus.
Well, that's
is that
good.
Possible? For
you can
a woman to have more testosterone?
I think different women some women are more estrogen dominant, some are more androgen dominant. That doesn't, everybody's a little bit differently. What's normal for you may not be normal for somebody else.
Okay.
So, we want to try to make you normal for you.
So this is exciting. So if you can see imbalance in my hormone after taking a look at this map, you can also prescribe it to me on the certain days, or is that kind of the remedy?
Yeah, like if sometimes what we'll do is, because we want to not mess up your cycle, we will say, okay, for this part of the month you're taking this hormone, and this other part of the month you may take this hormone. It's very possible.
And could my diet have play a role? Like if you had said, hey, I noticed that in the middle of the month you spiked up. Could you then ask me something like, what did you do differently? Is there outside factors like my lifestyle or what I eat? Will that determine my hormones too?
Oh yeah, diet is critical, as is exercise. I mean, they both influence hormone. How much fat or carbs one takes in, that influences the hormones as well, and as well as fat loss and muscle gaining. So I think we try to look at it not just hormones, but we're looking at other types of ways to change with medications and supplements and lifestyle.
And can I ask about, one of my nutritionists had recommended that I maybe not eat dairy, as an example. If I decided to stop eating dairy, and then I did this test again after 3 months, could you conceivably see a difference also?
I'm not sure that dairy specifically would have impact on hormones, but dairy has a whole bunch of other potential issues that because it's I personally think that it's
an animal protein.
It's not natural to be taking another animal's milk this late in life.
Sure. Okay.
But I mean, it may have some problems with the immune system, in the gut, but. I'm not 100% sure on hormones, but it may be just generally good for your system to not have so much dairy.
I'm trying that.
Yeah, but I mean,
as
fermented,
part of being peak, right?
Like fermented dairy products, I think, are totally different. I mean, cheese and other fermented products have they carry healthy bacteria in them, and your body can digest that. But I think milk is a bit of a different issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that I got the privilege, I don't even want to call it a privilege, of doing, I entered this machine, or it's called a bod pod, and I essentially walked into this egg. It's a bod pod. It's shaped like an egg. I literally I put my hair in a hair cap. I had a sports bra and my underwear. I walked into the machine, closed it looked like I was like gonna go on a spaceship.
I think we may have some photos, or is there not?
I posted
we'll
that
post those.
on
We'll post those for everyone,
on the Peak X Labs. I will post that.
Okay.
And out came a very, very detailed analysis of my fat composition. Can you talk to everyone about the bod pod?
Yeah, the bod pod I think is the most advanced body fat composition machine out there. It uses air displacement, because the problem with a lot of these body fat machines right now is that they're using electricity. So sometimes you'll be standing on a scale, and what's happening, it's going from one leg through your body and down the other leg. But it's ignoring the top part of your body, because it just takes the shortest distance. So, by doing the machine, we're actually looking at your whole body and how it's pushing aside air, and that's how it's determining your body fat. So it's similar to...
I heard a suction cup.
Yeah, there's a suction cup. You're in this capsule. And then it's similar to the water displacement, which is considered the gold standard for measuring body fat. But,
you mean there's a facility where I could just like
dunk
myself in, and that would get it?
Determines how much your body. That's actually like done research, but it's not available like commercially and easy.
So just for this audience to know, you can get your bod pod assessment. Do you call it that?
Bod pod assessment.
Your bod pod assessment here. I don't know if that's one of the giveaways, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, we can
I could do that. I would give away a bod pod assessment for my clients.
We can definitely do that. So if you want, just maybe just put your name on the thread, and we'll take the first 2 people that put their name on the thread.
Hashtag bod pod.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you'll get a bod pod assessment, because it was really eye-opening for me. I didn't like the result. I wasn't surprised by the result. I don't like the result. So I think from there, it really got me to realize that, looking good, Dr. Sanjeev Goel, right?
No, perfect.
Looking good and feeling good are 2 very different things, right? So for myself going on this peak journey, I didn't want to just look good or conceivably look good on the outside. I also want to feel good on the inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of my peak journey. Do we have any questions yet?
Yeah, let's, how's it looking on the thread there? We're good?
No questions
Okay.
at this time?
All
Okay. So the other thing we talked about were peptides. Because I'm interested in, I'm pretty risky as an individual. Not everybody's risky, but when it comes to my health, when I say risky, I'm willing to try new and different things that are sort of outside of the box because I just really am that committed to seeing a big difference. So can you talk to me about
for
some
sure.
of those things you'd recommend?
I think I'm similar, and I think that's where this is all coming from. Peak Human Labs is really about being on the edge of where medicine is, and we call that biohacking, and stuff that you're usually your doctor will probably not talk to you about. That's what's happening here at Peak Human Labs, and so peptides is a whole new area of what of therapy. And what are peptides? Peptides are like they're what make up they're amino acids, which is protein. Make up peptides. So they're like molecules that go around in your body and they signal hormones, or they're part of hormones, and they're signaling your genes to produce other proteins. So they're like very important compounds that we're finding out now. So for example, there are peptides that stimulate your own growth hormone. In the past, people were taking growth hormone injections because as you get older, our growth hormone goes down.
Okay.
And growth hormone is necessary for keeping your body young, and your joints young, and your skin young, and very much people have been like Sylvester Stallone have been taking growth hormone injections, right? But now we know.
And is that legalized in Canada, or like how
It's not really.
how do people monitor
It's all
that?
on the gray market. So you see people doing this in the gym, and they're taking. Oh, we have your bod pod thing here. We can go through that. But people are taking this type of stuff kind of underground, and I think that it comes with dangers because you take growth hormone, you may be suppressing your own growth hormone, and because your body's saying, "Hey, I don't need to produce growth hormone anymore." So what peptides are is that we can kind of keep your own growth hormone going, and we just stimulate it as if it's it's much more natural.
So is there also a specified recipe for an individual based on different results? Like for myself, I'd like to become lean, fit, and I don't necessarily know what a healthy, it says here that a healthy or a lean body fat is 18.1 to 22%. And I'm not sure that I want to be at this level on an everyday basis given my lifestyle. That's not what I'm committed to. Moderately lean is 22 to 30%. So your fat level is generally acceptable for good health. Is that? I mean, that's fine for me.
I think we gotta look at body type here. Like, I mean, if someone who's, women will generally have a little bit more fat on them, and there's a reason for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's the fat. There's fat is two types of fat. There's white fat and brown fat.
Okay.
And so some type of fat is necessary, and it's good for your metabolism.
I didn't even know that. What's a white fat and a brown fat?
Okay, so the white fat is what we have around our tummy, and that's not good fat.
Okay,
that's
is that what cellulite is?
That could
is
be,
that
yes.
white fat?
I think so. I think where fat is being stored, it's just being stored for no other purpose.
Whereas, we don't like white fat.
But brown fat is what's more inside your body. There are specific places being stored inside your body, more around your organs and stuff.
Okay.
And that is
to help cushion your organs.
Well, it's more used like quickly. If your body needs an energy source, it'll go and break that down.
Okay.
Quickly, and it's used to keep you warm. Let's say that's why cold therapy, for example. People are doing like cold showers, or they're out in the
why do they do that?
That thermotherapy, or sitting in the cold lake and then coming into the sauna. All that's stimulating your own body to burn that fat off.
Okay.
So it's burning brown fat though, and converting your white fat to brown fat, which is what you want to do. There's a couple of ways that people can do that. One is also moving into eating less carbs.
Okay.
Because when you do that, basically your body then switches the fat storage from white fat to brown fat as well.
So I'm still in the beginning journey of being peak. Just for everyone to know, I did my bod pod fat assessment.
Yep.
So I'm coming from a place where I now know what my beginning body fat composition is. I certainly know my age that I'm starting, and I think we had talked about is it a 90-day journey? Do you think we'll see?
I think 90 days is
results in
normally
90 days?
what we're saying at Peak Human Labs. 90 days. We do initial assessment. We prescribe some tests, which we've done for you.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend the DNA test, which we should talk about.
Yeah. Let's talk about
And
that. I
then,
did go to a talk the Nutrients talk.
Yeah.
Discuss a little bit about
let's
the
talk
DNA
about
test.
that. And
Okay.
so we do the assessment.
Yes.
And then after that, we do the assessment. It may take about 3-4 weeks for results to come in.
Okay.
And then we're going to
For these specific results.
Yeah.
Okay. So my
And-
hormone test will take about 3 to 4 weeks, and it's about almost 30 days to get all of the
yours took a little
tests.
longer.
Okay.
Like maybe other tests would take a few minutes, but unfortunately
Okay.
yours was a bit of a long one.
A long one. Okay.
But,
I wanted to know I wanted to know everything. So
And then after we create a customized plan based on the results. So I think,
Okay.
by about 3 months we should start getting an idea, because we're going to be, I think you've already put yourself on an exercise regime, and
Yeah.
we're changing your diet a little bit as well. So I think 3 months is a very fair
Yes.
amount of time period to get a sense. You should start seeing some results.
one thing we did not do is the DNA test. So can
Yes.
you talk about that? And that's something I'm going to do next. I
Okay.
think that's an easier test. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a 5-minute spit test, and it takes about 3 weeks for turnaround. But I'm really happy about the DNA company's test, and what they have is that they basically look at a whole bunch of genetic, basically their genes, your genes and your SNPs, and they look at your own makeup. So apparently, we all have a very different makeup of how we metabolize, detoxify, deal with hormones, how we absorb certain foods, and how our brain chemicals are. And that's what makes us unique. So with the DNA test, you get a chance to see how is it that your hormones are being metabolized, because the way you do it is very different than somebody else.
Right. Like you are typically always lean, correct? Like, or are you just that way? Is it part of your diet, and do you exercise a lot?
Well, yeah, my thing is I'm a vegan for about 30 years. Though I do have egg whites, so but apart
Okay.
from that, I've been vegan for about 30 years, and I'm doing a lot of doing
Cardio, weight training.
Yeah, weight training mostly, to be honest.
Okay, weight
but
training.
But I think that it's important to see, like, for example, somebody in their 40s like myself, will experience the testosterone starting to go down, but not
Okay.
everybody you need to start giving testosterone to.
Okay.
Like, for an example,
Because you said testosterone. What I learned in your talk, testosterone is actually turned into estrogen.
exactly.
And that in some cases, if someone's misdiagnosed, you could be pumping a man full of testosterone, and then he becomes more feminine.
Exactly.
That does the exact reverse.
You can get man boobs or
Man-
gynecomastia happens because we haven't looked at that. There's the gene that's converting testosterone to estrogen. Some people have that gene really strong,
Okay.
and some people don't. Or
Right.
if I give testosterone to somebody and they're really worried about their hair, and I end up making them lose all their hair, they're not going to be very happy with me either. So I think it's good to look at your own genetic makeup.
Okay.
Sometimes testosterone in certain people can lead to, increased risk of a big prostate, or potentially prostate cancer even. So again,
So-
these are the reasons to test.
So
first.
understanding my genetic makeup will help me do what?
It'll help you target exactly what type of treatments you should do that are
Okay.
in a safe manner. So for hormones, it let us know exactly. We don't want to put you at risk for breast cancer. So we got to make sure that
No.
your estrogen, the way you break down estrogen, we need to understand that first to make sure that you're not breaking down into those metabolites which are more dangerous than other people.
Now, what about people who are taking supplements? Can they be taking the wrong supplements for their body also?
Yes, that's another piece. Sometimes let's say B12 might be a perfect example. I found out that taking
Go ahead.
okay. We have some questions, but we'll answer in a second.
Okay.
So B12, for example, some people say, yeah, take B12. But if you don't have the gene to absorb B12 from your stomach, then taking as much B12 won't make so much difference. So you need
Okay.
to take sublingual. Or if you have a problem with methylating your B12, which is a specific gene, I think it's MTHFR gene. If you have a defect in that gene or a slow metabolizer, then taking regular, B12 won't make so much difference. You need to take methylcobalamin. So I think that's an example of where we need to understand our genetic makeup to understand what's the best supplement for us.
So we have a question from Sitara.
Okay.
What is the purpose of the bod pod test? I'll let you answer that, and then I'll let you know what it was like for me to get
Okay.
my results.
Yeah, so the purpose of the bod pod is to understand what is your body fat composition at this particular moment when you do the test. So it gives you a really accurate sense of where you're at right now, whether it's 20%, 25%, 30%, 35%. Gives you a sense of what's your body fat percentage.
Yes, and then for me, I got a real understanding of where I am now, and it was eye-opening. I didn't think I was at that level, so I definitely had more percent of fat than I thought I did, and so that for me is more motivating. I don't look at that as bad news. I just look at that as what is so right now, right? And now what I can do is make that change. The other thing on this comprehensive test is pretty detailed. It's got my percent of fat, percent fat-free mass,
Yep.
body mass, body volume, body density. So I really can tell the composition of my body, how much of it is muscle and how much of it is actual fat. And then from that point, I think that I can see my baseline and start to improve on that. The other thing is it gives you a body fat rating. Am I risky? Do I have excess fat? Am I in the lean stage? So right now I'm in an excess fat situation.
No, I think they're a bit,
But I'm
they're a
really,
bit, they're a
I'm
bit
really
harsh.
on,
Yeah,
I'm really on the cusp. But that's the reason why I'm doing this anyway. And I can own the fact that it hasn't been the top of my list, which is why for the end of 2018 and all of 2019, I'm definitely all about being peak. Next question. Michelle asks, how much is the genetic test?
Yeah, the genetic test by a DNA company is $550, and I think if you go on a link, which I'll post in the group and put the discount code in, you'll get that price.
Okay.
And yeah, it takes about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And I will then set up an appointment with you and go over your results.
And then Delia asks, how long is the transformation time? So I'm doing this for 90 days. So 3 months is the time that I'm starting and ending. So I'm sure I'll be back in March, maybe beforehand, but that's going to be my end result. And my birthday is March 25th, so a nice gift to me to be in peak, being peak for 2019.
Yeah, let's see. I'm hoping that this is a lifelong journey. Like,
Of
we're
course.
starting with the first 3 months, but I think there's always more and more to do and improve. And I'm finding that myself in my own peak journey. Okay, so let's see if there's any other, anybody else has
How are we
come
doing
up
for
with
time?
any. Oh, I see all these.
Are there a lot of are these a lot of questions?
I see this
There's
here.
like comments.
Oh,
Comments.
comments.
Perfect.
Anything we need to respond to? What's the
I think
time?
we're good. We have a few minutes. Let's end
Oh.
off. Let's end off with.
Okay, so let's talk about the consult. Can we do that?
Yeah,
What
let's talk about what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
what
what
happens
are you gonna get?
in a peak humans lab
Yes.
consult.
What happens in a peak humans lab consult? What's the length of time? Is there anything to prepare for?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
So yeah, I think we need about between a half an hour to 1 hour time, and we can do it virtually or we can do it in person.
Yes, that's cool. You could do it virtually. You don't even have to leave your bed. That's kind of cool.
I mean, so much of it is now done with testing, which you don't have to be present for. We can send you the kit by mail, and you can mail it in, and then we can do a consult. So a lot of this is happening to people around the world, actually.
Yeah.
Because people, not everybody is so interested in their health, but we want to work with people who are actually want to
Ready to make
a change. Yeah,
yes. So
exactly.
part of that, my beginning process is doing blood work,
Mm-hmm.
getting all of my measurements, getting a true assessment, which
Mm-hmm.
is bod pod wherever they can. What would be the best assessment for someone who doesn't have access to a bod pod when you are doing this virtually? Are there other clinics that they can go and get a bod pod assessment?
I think it's hard. I think in Toronto we don't have anybody else doing the bod pod, but we can use many different measures to look at body fat. We can do
Okay.
still measurements, and we can still use the electricity method as well. This just gives us rough measures. As long as we keep using the same measure, we can still see improvement.
So it's static.
Yeah, as long as we're using the same measure, we're good.
And then how often will a patient be dealing with you if they're specifically going through the peak transformation? Will they be dealing directly with you? Will they be dealing with a member of your team? How does that work?
Yeah, well, I'm available. I'm always, going to be available for my clients, and I think it is kind of a coaching. We haven't figured out exactly how often. It all depends on how often the person needs to be spoken with or met with, but we're really trying to make it very personalized and customized. We want, ultimately, nothing makes me happier than people actually getting to their goals. That's why I'm
Yes.
doing this.
And I found from myself working with Dr. Goel was just to be very transparent and really open about what I struggle with, what my goals are, being very, very clear, because like any doctor or any trainer, without just laying it all on the table and like being really diligent about what I want to achieve and what I struggle with, is he going to be able to prescribe something that really just fits with my lifestyle?
That's true.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So
I would just end up just with quick things.
Yeah.
Apart from the consult, we do your blood work.
Yeah.
Which I want to mention that we'll need to do just regular blood work. If you're from Canada, then it's covered by the insurance. And then any other additional testing you have to pay for.
yes.
And what else is there? I see Michelle. Yeah, that's right. We can do these virtual consults.
Yes.
Um,
And for more information,
Yes.
they where do they go? To the website or to Facebook?
Yeah, we could go to our website, which is peakhuman.ca, and we're just kind of launching it right now. But apart from that, you can just message us right on the Facebook group, and you can direct message us,
Yes.
myself or Delia.
And for those who, Nadine asked, how much does the consultation cost for those who don't win a consult? Because I think this is important for anyone, and I highly recommend, at the very minimum, that you go through a Peak Human consult. Just to, whether you choose to move forward or not, the consult, I think, was really eye-opening for me. So how much is the consult?
Yeah, so if for those who don't win a consult today, then we're offering consult for $250.
Okay.
Yeah.
For $250. And so you can register at peakhuman.ca.
Yep, or on the Facebook group, you can just message us and or direct message us as well.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
next we will be talking about peak
Peak
sex.
Peak sex. So we're gonna give us 5 minutes, and if you have time, then definitely the next hour is gonna be really interesting, and you'll hope to learn a lot more.
See you soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.